Hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Good.
Good morning, sir.
To begin with, just tell me if we had written this overall reaction yesterday. I don't know. I'm a little confused if I give you time to write this. Did we write this yesterday?
Yes, sir.
We did, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I think I had made you write the even reaction also, and we have to write E2. Barabar?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So take time and write E2 very carefully. Be careful with the double bonds, the position of the double bonds, and note the reaction now. Great. So let us start with the third subunit of the PDH complex, and let us see what basically it is about. Just give me a minute. I don't know what is up. It's not casting the screen. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about the third subunit. The third subunit is what we call as dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. Dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase is the name of the third subunit, and as the name suggests, it's going to be involved in the process of oxidation, right? So what you have right now is the reduced form of lipoic acid, right? बराबर. एक मिनट. Okay, उससे पहले we have reached till what we have formed. Okay, wait. So we will have to first discuss about. Wait, just give me a minute. I just skipped the reaction there. Okay, so we saw that we had the acetyl lipoic acid complex with us, right? That was the last thing that we did. So yes, we are still in the second subunit. The second subunit's work is yet to be completed. So your structure right now looks something like this. So this is the acetyl lipoic acid complex that you have at this point of time. Now what we are going to do is we are going to release this group from the complex. So we are going to get rid of the acetyl group. But we can't release it just like that. So we will associate it with a coenzyme, which is called as coenzyme A. Okay, so we are going to associate the acetyl group with coenzyme A, thereby forming a product called as acetyl CoA, which looks like this. So this is your acetyl CoA, and the hydrogen which was there in your CoA SH, that will be given to this particular sulfur, such that now you have your lipoic acid but in its reduced form. Because earlier, if you remember, the lipoic acid was wherein when you started, it was wherein you had single sulfur atoms and there was a bond between them, right? But here you can see that it is reduced form of the lipoic acid, right? So you have reduced form of lipoic acid, which is left with you. Okay, so this is the reduced lipoic acid. What we have done is we have just released the acetyl group, combined it with coenzyme A, such that it forms acetyl CoA. One hydrogen from CoA SH has been transferred to the sulfur, which was attached to acetyl CoA. So now what we are left behind is with reduced lipoic acid. So this reaction is also catalyzed by your E2 subunit itself. E2 subunit was dihydrolipoyl acetyl transferase, because you have been playing with the acetyl group. You have been transferring acetyl group. So dihydrolipoyl acetyl transferase is going to be your enzyme name. Now please understand that once this reduced lipoic acid is formed, acetyl कोई तो बन गया. So हमारे Krebs cycle के लिए जो मुझे substrate चाहिए था वो मुझे मिल चुका है. बट ये जो reduced lipoic acid है हम उसको ऐसे नहीं छोड़ सकते. We have to oxidize it so that it can participate in conversion of another molecule of pyruvate to the level of acetyl. So what do we do then? So that's where our E3 comes into the picture, which is dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. Here we will remove hydrogens, we'll carry out oxidation, right? So right now our structure looks like this. So what I'm going to do is, if I want to convert this to its oxidized form, I need to remove the hydrogens which are associated with sulfur. This is what I'm going to remove from reduced lipoic acid. Now when I'm removing hydrogen, I need an acceptor. Acceptor in this case is FAD, flavin adenine dinucleotide. So that's going to accept the hydrogens, thereby forming FADH2, and you will get your oxidized form of lipoic acid, which looks like this. So you can see it has re-established its ring-shaped structure, which you had seen in the very beginning, right? But we know that what is actually released, as byproducts in this reaction is not FADH2, it is NADH. So then how is NADH formed? Because here the hydrogen acceptor is FADH2, right? So that's where FADH2, which is a reduced form of FAD, it's going to donate hydrogens, going to lose its hydrogens, go back to its oxidized state, and those hydrogens are accepted by NAD plus, forming NADH and H plus. Now you should have this question that, why is FADH2 losing its hydrogen and giving it to NAD? So this is what you will see when you learn ETC and even when you learn bioenergetics in this unit, that the cell is trying to maximize the amount of energy that it can get. Because you know that NAD gives 2.5 moles of ATP, while FADH2 gives 1.5, right? So wherever it is possible to maximize the gain of ATPs, the cell will try that. So in this case, you can see that FADH2 is being oxidized and that hydrogen is being taken up by NAD to form NADH. So obviously here the gain of energy will increase. Are you all understanding this? Are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
I
sir.
think now it's time for you to note it because PDH का सब कुछ जो भी पार्ट था वो कंप्लीट हो चुका है. PDH के 3 सब यूनिट्स थे, वो तीनों सब यूनिट्स के रिएक्शन हमने अभी देख लिए हैं. Okay, so just start writing this reaction. I'll just change the slide. Yeah. First note this down, let me know, then I will put the E3 reaction in front of you. Yes, Raj. So you need to understand that the yield of ATPs from FADH2 in ETC is just 1.5 moles. While from one molecule of NADH, you have 2.5 moles of ATP that you will get. So which one is more? NADH, right? So cell will not leave any opportunities that it has to maximize the energy yield. So what we are seeing over here is whatever FADH2 is formed, we are converting it, we are oxidizing it back to its original form, which is FAD, and the electrons and hydrogens which come out of that is being shuttled to NAD. So you are in turn converting FADH2 to NADH because NADH is going to yield more ATPs as compared to FADH2. Nirmiti, do you want to ask anything? I can see you are unmuted. Okay, fine. So let us now start with the reactions for TCA, for Krebs cycle. Okay. So how much ever you say, you have to understand that acetylation is always considered to be a separate part, a bridging gap between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. Okay, it's not considered to be part of either Krebs or either glycolysis. It's a separate entity. एसिटाइलेशन ये नाम इसलिए दिया गया इस प्रोसेस को बिकॉज यू आर फॉर्मिंग एसिटाइल कोए इन इट and it's also called as oxidative decarboxylation. Why do you call it oxidative decarboxylation? Because you're removing carbon dioxide and you are carrying out oxidation, right? So you have to understand that it's a bridging gap between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. You can call it as connecting link reaction also, as you would have studied it in 12th standard, because it connects these two processes. Okay. So to begin with the TCA cycle, let me tell you that the very first reaction that we have in TCA is a condensation reaction. Now, why do I call it as condensation? I call it as condensation for a basic reason that in presence of water molecule, we are going to have two components fusing together. Okay, one of those components you already know because we know what we have formed in the process of acetylation, right? So that's nothing but acetyl CoA. Now, acetyl CoA is a two carbon compound. Barabar? Now, please understand that this acetyl CoA can, in a way, reform itself to form a carbanion like structure wherein it loses a proton. You can see it becomes CH2C double bond OS CoA. Okay. And this will fuse with a compound which is a 4 carbon compound very popularly referred to as OAA, which is the abbreviation, that is oxaloacetic acid or oxaloacetate. So this 4-carbon compound OAA will fuse with acetyl CoA, okay, and that will give rise to a 6-carbon compound. So let us see what that 6-carbon compound basically is. So this part, this structure that you saw right now, is going to come and attach on this carbon, and that's the reason why you got rid of one hydrogen from the methyl group of acetyl CoA. Okay, and at the same time, that hydrogen which was removed is going to be added to this oxygen to form a hydroxyl group, such that this double bond is converted to a single bond. So let's see, here is the acetyl CoA group which is there, and it attaches itself to the carbon of oxaloacetic acid. This is the compound that it forms, which is called as citryl CoA. Okay, it's called as citryl CoA. Now, this citryl CoA has to be converted to a stable compound. That's the first stable compound of citric acid cycle or TCA cycle. Okay, so what we are going to do here is we are going to add a water molecule. We are going to carry out hydration, wherein you get rid of this part. You get rid of CoA. So whenever CoA has to be released free, it has to be released as CoA SH. So it needs a hydrogen. That hydrogen is going to come from water, because remember, water is nothing but H plus and OH minus. So that H plus is going to be taken up and CoA SH will be released. So let us write that down already separately. CoA SH is released. Okay, and along with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute over here a hydroxyl group, such that it becomes a carboxyl group now, right? So my compound will look like this: CH2COOH, COH, COOH, CH2COOH. This is nothing but citrate or citric acid. Okay, now carefully look at this structure. 1, 2, and 3. It has 3 carboxyl groups, hence the name tricarboxylic acid cycle. Look at the name of the first stable product, citric acid. That's the reason why you also call this cycle as citric acid cycle, because the first stable product is citrate, which is a tricarboxylic acid, which means that it has 3 carboxyl groups. So what we have done is acetyl CoA lost its proton from the methyl group, and we attached it to oxaloacetic acid. The C double bond O group was converted to a hydroxyl group by using that proton which came from methyl group of acetyl CoA. So we formed citryl CoA, and then we added a water molecule. CoA SH was released, hydrogen from water was used for that, and the hydroxyl group was replacing the CoA SH in citryl CoA, forming citric acid, which is a tricarboxylic acid. Now the enzyme which catalyzes this, the enzyme which is responsible for bringing about this entire condensation reaction, is what we call as citrate synthase. Okay, what do we call it? Citrate synthase. Okay, fine.
So,
Yes.
can you please explain again where the OH group comes for the formation of citryl CoA?
अरे ये निकाल दिया ना तुमने, तो ये निकाल दिया तो यहाँ पे OH कहाँ से आएगा? पानी में से आएगा ना?
ओके सर।
है ना? तो ये अगर आप निकाल दोगे, ये आप जब निकाल रहे हो तो उसमें एक हाइड्रोजन जो चाहिए वो पानी में से आ रहा है, और यहाँ पे अभी एम्प्टी है ग्रुप, वहां पे हम क्या लगा रहे हैं? वहां पे हम OH डाल रहे हैं, such that this becomes carboxylic group. Okay.
ओके सर।
I hope everyone has understood this.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
Akhil.
could you repeat the part of oxaloacetate to citral-CoA?
Yes. So you can see that here it should be ideally a methyl group. So what has happened? We have lost a proton there. What am I doing to that proton? I'm using that proton to convert this C double bond O into COH. Okay? And this is the point where I will attach the acetyl CoA group. So you can see that this part was attached on this carbon. That's it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
ठीक है, सबको समझ में आया ये रिएक्शन?
Yes, sir.
ओके,
Yes, sir.
छापो अभी, पीपीटी है साइमल्टेनियसली ही. So, okay, before we go to that slide, just have a look at this. This slide is an image which comes from Leninger, okay? And it tells you all three subunits ka reaction as one single thing. So don't get confused looking at that. It is the same set of reactions which we have written individually. They have just shown it that if all these three units form one complex, okay, so how will the reaction look like as it proceeds from one subunit to the other subunit? See, it's multi-enzyme complexes. You would have learned this in SY, in biochemistry and enzymology, that several enzyme complexes, they act as tunneling complexes, wherein once the substrate moves in, it is going on getting converted from one subunit to the another subunit to the third subunit. As it moves, the conversion is constantly happening, and at the end of the tunnel you get your final product. So your PDH complex resembles that totally, wherein you have three subunits, pyruvate is entering in, it is going on getting converted into some or the other form, and finally it is coming out as acetyl CoA. So that is what is trying to be represented over here. Please do not get confused. ओके, यहाँ पे उन्होंने जो लिपोइल लाइसिन लिखा है, दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज लिपोइक एसिड, because we always say that there is a protein associated to it, right? So don't get confused looking at this, because your reading material for this is Conen-Stumpf, the PDH complex. But whenever you look at Leninger, you shouldn't get confused कि ये क्या है, ये ऐसे क्यों represent किया है. तो ये represent इसलिए किया गया है ताकि substrate जब एक बार complex में घुस जाएगा, तो जब बाहर आएगा तो तीनों reactions complete होके बाहर आएगा. Okay, that's the beauty of multi-enzyme complexes, wherein different enzyme subunits, they come together and they carry out that reaction. Okay, now you can write this. The PPT is visible to you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, great. So I think we can go ahead. Now this shows what exactly happens, when the substrate attaches itself to the citrate synthase enzyme. Okay, so carefully look what changes are taking place. I'm going to make use of a laser pointer. If you don't understand, stop me there and we can discuss it again. Okay. Now this is the active site. ये जो white color का space दिख रहा है, this is the active site of the enzyme citrate synthase, जिसमें हमारे दोनों substrates को जाकर attach होना है, oxaloacetic acid and acetyl CoA. Okay. अब यहाँ पर ये एस्पैराजिन जो रेसिड्यू है, हिस्टिडीन के जो दो रेसिड्यूज है, इनका बहुत सिग्निफिकेंस है. And the numbers there are indicating that at which position these amino acids are present. So ये दोनों histidine और asparagine का there is a lot of aspartic acid का there is a lot of significance. Now why is it so? Okay, what is it exactly doing? So what happens is we already know that CH3 में से एक हाइड्रोजन गवाया जाता है, right? CH3 में से one hydrogen is removed is what we already know. Right? So that hydrogen is attracted by this ASP residue. The aspartic acid residue is going to take it away, such that we are left with CH2, C double bond O, S CoA. Now to stabilize this, what it will do is जैसे ये हाइड्रोजन आप निकालोगे, ये दोनों कार्बन के बीच में डबल बॉन्ड बनना चाहिए. ओके, एंड ये जो ऑक्सीजन है, C double bond O वाला ऑक्सीजन है, it will interact with the hydrogen of the amino group of histidine. Okay, so aspartic acid residue is taking the hydrogen, and here histidine is giving its hydrogen for interaction, such that an enolate intermediate is formed, which looks like this. See, C double bond C है, okay, O and C का जो bond है, double bond था, वो single bond में convert हो गया because now it has become OH because it's interacting with the histidine group. एंड इसका जो गवाया हुआ हाइड्रोजन है वो हमने एस्पार्टिक एसिड को दिया हुआ. सिमिलरली यहाँ पर ऑक्सैलोएसिटिक एसिड जो है, उसका जो C डबल बॉन्ड O कॉम्बिनेशन है, दैट इज गोइंग टू इंटरैक्ट विथ हाइड्रोजन ऑफ अमाइनो ग्रुप ऑफ अनदर हिस्टिडीन, सच दैट दिस बॉन्ड गेट्स ब्रोकन एंड फॉर्म्स COH. ओके, सो ये किस लिए किया जा रहा है? ये इसलिए किया जा रहा है ताकि इस कार्बन पर हम ये पूरे ग्रुप को उठाकर बिठा सके. Okay, so we are converting this C double bond O into OH. So it's coming from this histidine. So let us see what happens. So यही फिगर है जो हमने पहले वहां देखा था, उसके नीचे का पार्ट ऑब्जर्व करते हैं अभी. So हमने ये पूरा ग्रुप उठाकर शिफ्ट कर दिया है. Okay, and you can see that what has happened is the entire group looks like this, where you have CH2, C double bond O, S CoA, COH, COOH, and CH2, COOH. That is your citral CoA, and we saw that how citral CoA is converted into citrate, right? So for converting citral CoA or citral CoA, both the terms are correct, don't get confused. So for that you add a water molecule, CoASH is released, right? And you see that this S CoA is released as CoASH and it's replaced by a hydroxyl group. You can see here that's how citrate is formed. ओके, सो जो हमको यहाँ पर बहुत सिंपल दिखता है कि एक प्रोटॉन निकल गया, वही प्रोटॉन यहाँ गया होगा, वो ऐसे होता नहीं है. यहाँ पे अगर तुम देखोगे तो 3 अलग अमाइनो एसिड्स इस प्रोसेस में इन्वॉल्व है फॉर कन्वर्टिंग दीज एंड ब्रिंगिंग देम टुगेदर एंड कंडेंसिंग देम इनटू सिट्रॉयल CoA, which further we obviously convert to citric acid. Okay, so it's not necessary for you to remember what's happening there in the active site, but I wanted you to see that the process is not as simple as it looks while we write a simple straightforward reaction. The process there may be involving several amino acids in the process, so we have to understand that. Okay, so I hope if you have any questions, please ask before we move ahead, because we should be able to do at least one more reaction today. Otherwise we are going at a dead slow pace. So if you have any queries, please ask, or else we can move to the next reaction. Is there any question that you want to ask about this part? You want me to go through
No,
it
sir.
again?
No,
No,
sir, it's
sir.
clear.
No, sir.
Okay. So the next reaction basically is an isomerization reaction, and it's split into two steps. Okay, very funny looking reactions. I call them as funny because the two reactions which are part of this isomerization set, they are dehydration and hydration. So logically we think that kya pagalpanti hai, that why are you carrying out dehydration if you really wanted to carry out hydration again? So we don't understand that this is where when you remove the water molecule and re-add it, we are bringing about positional changes. So it doesn't mean that H and OH जहां से पहले निकाला वही वापस जा रहे. So that is the crux of carrying out isomerization, that you are shifting the groups by carrying out dehydration and hydration. So these are isomerization reactions. Okay, and let us see what happens in these two reactions. Okay, yes. So it is brought about by enzyme called as aconitase. It's called as aconitase because we are having aconitic acid as the intermediate, aconitate as the intermediate. So right now what we have with us is citric acid, which looks like this. This is citric acid. So the first thing that we are doing is we are removing water molecule. So when you remove water molecule, you are going to remove a hydrogen from this CH2 and hydroxyl group from here. So that's how a water molecule is released. So the product that you will get will be CH2COOH, CCOOH, double bond CHCOOH. So this is nothing but cis aconitic acid, also called as aconitate. Cis aconitate. Now, in the very next reaction, you will add a water molecule to bring about the addition of water molecule. So that addition of water molecule that you carry out over here is going to be wherein you are going to, this group will remain as it is. Here I will add a hydrogen. Okay. Here we will add a hydroxyl group. So you can see earlier it was exactly ulta. I had hydroxyl group here and hydrogen over here. Now I've shifted it. Now I have a hydrogen over here, hydroxyl group over here. Right? So this is isomeric form of citrate, which I call as isocitrate. So by carrying out dehydration and hydration reactions one after the other, I have converted citric acid to its isomeric form, isocitrate. And there is an intermediate in the process which is cis aconitic acid, and the enzyme is going to be referred to as aconitase. Okay, we are referring to the enzyme as aconitase. Okay, so quickly write down the reaction. Okay, great. So let's see the next reaction. Maybe we'll not be able to complete this entire reaction, but at least part of it will be done. So now we are speaking about a very significant enzyme, which is known as isocitrate dehydrogenase. Okay, so isocitrate dehydrogenase, as the name suggests, you are going to carry out oxidation in the process, right? So what you have with you is this particular structure. Okay, many a times they will write it, in the ionized forms. That's okay. Isocitrate is the substrate for this reaction. As you're carrying out oxidation, there has to be an acceptor. This acceptor could either be NADP or it could be NAD. Varies from one organism to the other. Okay, and you're going to remove hydrogen. So now the question arises is, where is the hydrogen going to come from, right? So we are going to remove hydrogen which is present over here and the hydrogen of the hydroxyl group. So if I remove both of those, what I get is CH2, COO minus, CH, COO minus, C double bond O, COO minus. So you can see that all these are still ट्राइकार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड्स होंगे. आइसोसिट्रेट में भी 3 कार्बोक्सिल ग्रुप्स है और ये जो प्रोडक्ट बन रहा है उसमें भी 3 कार्बोक्सिल ग्रुप्स है. दिस प्रोडक्ट इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज oxalosuccinic acid, also called as oxalosuccinate. And obviously, depending on what you have, NADP or NAD, you are going to have formation of NADPH or NADH and H+. Okay, so you have removed the hydrogens, one from the hydroxyl group and another hydrogen associated with the same carbon, and you are converting isocitric acid to oxalosuccinic acid. Okay, there is one more part of this reaction, because in this reaction we are also going to get rid of carbon dioxide. So it's an oxidative decarboxylation. Okay, it's an oxidative decarboxylation, but you know that always when we write the name of the enzyme, we write the enzyme for oxidation. That's the reason why you see dehydrogenase there. But oxalosuccinate is going to be subjected to decarboxylation, wherein you remove its carbon dioxide. But that we will see in our next session. I want you to write this down and we can stop for today and we can continue it tomorrow, because I've told you already last week itself that you will have lecture on Wednesday, Thursday in the afternoon. We will be finishing TCA in this week. I don't want TCA to be split into 2 weeks. So we'll be finishing TCA in the next 2 lectures. So please see to it that you are attending those. We will meet at 3 p.m. The lecture link will be the same. Okay. So please note the reaction down and we can stop for today. Just write the first part of the reaction from PPT, not the second half. Only the first half. The second half we have not discussed as yet.